Have you ever wondered where artificial intelligence actually lives? Not inside your phone, not in the cloud, but deep inside massive humming buildings the size of airplane hangars packed with chips that glow like tiny reactors, crunching numbers day and night. They call them data centers, but really they're the beating hearts of AI. And recently, the world's most famous AI company, OpenAI, sent a letter straight to the White House, not to ask for fame, but for infrastructure. They're urging the U.S. government to expand the CHIPS Act tax credits, originally meant for chip makers, so they also cover AI servers, data centers, and power grid components. Sounds technical, right? But behind that letter lies a story of ambition, politics, and power. A quiet war that could decide who truly leads the future of intelligence. Let's rewind. In 2022, the U.S. launched the CHIPS and Science Act, giving tax incentives for companies that build semiconductor fabs in America. One key part, the Advanced Manufacturing Investment Credit, or AMIC, offers a 35% tax credit for chip production facilities. OpenAI now says that's not enough. Chips don't think alone. They need servers, power, cooling, and physical space. If America wants to lead in AI, don't just fund the chips. Fund the entire nervous system that keeps AI alive. So, OpenAI sent a formal letter to Michael Kratsios, head of the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, asking the government to expand the CHIPS tax credits to include AI servers and data centers power grid components like transformers, high-voltage cables, and specialized electrical steel. They also asked Washington to speed up permits for new projects and to build a national reserve of essential materials, copper, aluminum, and rare earth minerals, critical for AI infrastructure. A bold request for a bold time. Because this new AI world runs on cash, and a lot of it. OpenAI says it has already committed $1.4 trillion over the next 8 years to build its infrastructure, from AI chips to global compute hubs. One rumored project, codenamed Stargate, might need up to 5 gigawatts of power. That's as much electricity as 5 nuclear plants combined. Building one modern AI data center can cost $40 million per megawatt of computing power. And even buying a single high-capacity transformer might take 2 years. The bottleneck isn't just chips anymore, it's everything that powers them. So, OpenAI's Chris Lehane wrote in the letter, broadening the AMIC coverage will lower the cost of capital, de-risk early investments, and unlock private capital to accelerate AI build out in the U.S. Behind that calm, bureaucratic phrasing lies a simple truth. OpenAI wants the U.S. to treat AI infrastructure as a national priority, just like highways, airports, and defense. Across dozens of reports from Reuters, Bloomberg, The Verge, and TechCrunch, one theme stands out. This isn't merely a tax issue. It's about who controls the engine of the future. In the 20th century, nations fought over oil. In the 21st, they're fighting over compute. The electricity, hardware, and silicon that fuel artificial intelligence. Whoever builds the most powerful data centers will lead the world in AI and will depend on them. So, OpenAI's letter isn't just a polite suggestion. It's a wake-up call to the U.S. government and to everyone else watching this new kind of arms race unfold. Just like the nuclear race of the 1950s, this time the weapon isn't uranium, it's computation. As soon as that letter became public, Washington erupted. One camp says OpenAI is right. America needs to think big. If we want to stay ahead of China and the EU, we must treat AI as critical infrastructure. But the other side counters, why should taxpayers fund a private company's dream? OpenAI is already making billions, and now they want a tax break too. The confusion deepened when OpenAI's CFO, Sarah Frier, said at a Wall Street Journal event that the government should backstop its infrastructure loans, implying public guarantees. The backlash was immediate. She later apologized on LinkedIn, writing, OpenAI is not seeking government backstops. I misspoke. Even CEO Sam Altman had to step in, clarifying, we don't want the government picking winners and losers. Taxpayers shouldn't bail out bad business decisions. Crisis averted, but the damage was done. People started asking, if you're not asking for help, why write the letter at all? Every large AI data center consumes as much electricity as a small metropolitan area. Microsoft, Google, and Amazon are racing to buy land near power plants just to keep up with demand. Analysts estimate that global AI infrastructure could soon require hundreds of gigawatts, more than what entire countries consume. So the U.S. government faces tough questions. Can the national grid handle it? Will energy prices rise for ordinary citizens? And how can this expansion align with America's carbon-neutral goals? To their credit, OpenAI acknowledged this too, urging investment in clean and resilient energy systems that serve both AI and the public. If this vision takes shape, America might be on the brink of a second industrial revolution, powered not by steam, but by data. Whenever a private company asks for government support, the line between visionary and self-serving becomes blurry. OpenAI isn't a scrappy startup anymore. They're forecasting over $20 billion in annual revenue by the end of 2025, and possibly hundreds of billions by 2030. They don't need rescuing. But to train the next generation of models, GPT-6, GPT-7, maybe even AGI, they need infrastructure so massive that no single company can shoulder it alone. That's why their tone is shifting. Less like a tech company, more like a national partner. It's not the first time America has done this. In the 1950s, it built highways. In the 1960s, it funded the moon landing. In the 1990s, it supported the birth of the internet. And now in the 2020s, it might fund artificial intelligence. If the U.S. expands those tax credits, it won't just benefit OpenAI. It could shake the entire global supply chain. Manufacturers of electrical steel, fiber optics, transformers, rare earth processing, all could see a boom. Countries that supply copper, nickel, or lithium will suddenly find themselves in the spotlight. And even nations like Vietnam, far from Washington, could feel the ripple. More demand for hardware, cloud computing, and AI services could flow into Asia. Small and medium businesses might gain access to cheaper, more powerful tools, leveling the playing field. Think about it. If a pharmacy in the Mekong Delta uses AI to manage stock or track prescriptions, that's part of the same story. Better AI infrastructure in America can lower costs and expand access for everyone connected to the digital world. But here's the catch. Every tax break is a trade-off. If the government cuts taxes for big tech, someone else pays the bill. That someone could be the taxpayers themselves. That's why some experts warn, if you expand EMIC too broadly, it could become corporate welfare disguised as innovation. The challenge is to design fair, conditional incentives, for example. Data centers must use renewable energy. Companies must create local jobs. Infrastructure must remain on U.S. soil. OpenAI's timing isn't random. Their letter came just as investors started worrying that the AI bubble might be inflating too fast. Chip stocks were swinging wildly. And yet, amid the chaos, one thing became clear. AI isn't going anywhere. Whether or not the hype fades, AI will remain the backbone of modern life. The question isn't should we build it, and it's who can sustain it. And that's what makes this letter historic. Because for the first time, a private company is telling the world's biggest government, if you want to lead this century, you must build for AI, not just talk about it. What OpenAI is really saying is profound. They're redefining what counts as infrastructure. In the 1900s, infrastructure meant bridges and roads. Today, it means servers, fiber, and energy grids capable of feeding digital minds. If Washington agrees, the U.S. would be declaring that data is as strategic as oil, and that AI data centers are as vital as airports or seaports. That shift could shape the next 50 years of global power. So, let's step back. A single letter, written on OpenAI letterhead and addressed to the White House, might seem like a small thing. But in truth, it could redefine how nations think about intelligence, power, and progress. Maybe it's ambition. Maybe it's vision. Probably both. But one thing's certain. This is the biggest infrastructure race since the dawn of the internet. And the outcome will decide who leads the age of artificial minds. As we end this story, take a second to think about your own life. Every time your phone understands your voice, every time AI helps your doctor, your student, or your business, it all runs on electricity, metal, and silicon. Invisible but essential. That's what this letter is really about. Not a tax credit, not a negotiation, but a question: who builds the foundation of tomorrow's intelligence? Because somewhere right now, in a quiet room in Washington, that answer is being written. And the future of AI, maybe even of humanity, hangs in the balance.